No, you did not click on the wrong thumbnail. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is the Vanderbilt video. We are talking about Vanderbilt, not Commodore baseball, not Commodore basketball, but Vandy football, which at this point is an eyesore in the SEC for what feels like eternity. And it's not going to get much easier in 2024 for Clark Lee and company. They begin the season against Virginia Tech, who is a sleeper in the ACC, with matchups on the road against Missouri and LSU. They also play host to Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas, all of which are going to be contenders for a college football playoff berth. But they did add in one major element from the transfer portal, which could end up getting them at least to hitting the over by Vegas' standards. It's Diego Pavia, who is the X factor for Vanderbilt going into 2024. So what's going on, SEC Unfiltered? It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below because we're talking college football. Yes, even about Vanderbilt all the way throughout the 2024 season. Media days are here, and we're going to be everywhere this week, so you don't want to miss out. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Make sure that you're following us on all the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. If you want to yell at me for wasting your time watching a Vanderbilt video, which you shouldn't be because Vanderbilt's awesome. Not really, but you get the point. At Mr. Cole Thompson on Twitter and YouTube. And to keep up with our #1 content, visit us at SECUnfiltered.com. This episode's brought to you by RHOBACK. Use promo code SECU for 20% off all joggers, polos, hoodies, shorts, much, much more. Promo code SECU at RHOBACK.com. Diego Pavia has some experience in the SEC. And by some, I mean one game where he was the biggest difference maker of ruining what had to have been an Auburn field day. Auburn felt really good about themselves last year after holding their own against Georgia, going down to the wire against an Alabama-led squad that eventually went to the college football playoff. And whether or not I give a little bit of flack to Auburn because I know what that rivalry is with the Iron Bowl, as somebody who went to Alabama and understands that the trap game the week before the Iron Bowl with your first year as a head coach is definitely something to monitor. It still is New Mexico State. And Pavia was a big reason why they won that game. He completed over 68% of his passes. He also completed 3 touchdowns, 201 yards. He averaged 4.4 yards per play. And because of that win, it was a defining moment for the Aggies, who eventually went and played in the Conference USA Championship game against Liberty, who was undefeated and had a quarterback that everyone thought was going to actually transfer to Auburn this past offseason. And in that game, actually, Pavia still played pretty well. 3 touchdown passes, completing 68% of his throws, 188 yards. He also rushed for another score. He had a solid day, and now he goes to Nashville to play in the SEC, where he will be going up against competition that is formidable like Auburn, if not better, week in and week out. And yes, that includes Virginia Tech. They returned like 97% of their production this year. So don't think for one second that the Hokies are not finally going to get back to what we know, where Enter Sandman plays, and we are really hyped up that it's not just a good entry. It's something of really big potential out in Blacksburg. Not the point. The point is that there is an ace in the hole when it comes to Pavia getting the starting job. And I know there's going to be some people out there that say Nate Johnson deserves love. I think Nate Johnson deserves a fair shake in training camp and all throughout fall camp. And if Pavia gets hurt, that is the first phone call you go to. But does anybody know who Clark Lee hired as his offensive coordinator? Tim Beck. Anybody know where Tim Beck came from? I'll save you the trouble. He was the offensive coordinator for Pavia last season when they were the runner-ups in Conference USA at New Mexico State. So there literally is no learning adaptability for a guy like Pavia in this offense. He mastered it last year, completing over 68% of his throws for roughly under 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. His QBR ranked among the top half of all FBS quarterbacks. Dude was a stud at a smaller school. And yes, it's Vanderbilt. And yes, you will be going up against competition like Tennessee, like Kentucky, which has a defensive front 7 that is nightmare fuel for any team that isn't prepared on Saturdays. And yes, that includes the good ones too. You go up against Alabama. You're going up against Texas. You're going up against LSU. We know what LSU has at linebacker because he is a heat-seeking missile that flies to the backfield and wants to ruin and decapitate a head. So that's what we're dealing with week in and week out. I know all this. But Pavia having that experience, the understanding, the processing, the elimination factor of not knowing what to expect on the play calling, making the audibles at the line of scrimmage, that might be a benefactor for him. And again, you watched him play last year and he balled out against an SEC team and was a big reason why the Tigers marched into Iron Bowl week with a ton of people talking negatively about them. There was a legit shot for Auburn to get 8 wins in 2024, and they lost 3 games by a total of, 31 points. And oh, by the way, the one where they really struggled was not Alabama, Georgia. It was New Mexico State. That was Pavia. I'm not going to go out here and say that I believe Vanderbilt football is going to be great in 2024. In fact, there are bold takes that we make in this industry. And the big thing is that you want to go bold from time to time. This is an illogical, absolutely nuclear, dumb take of all takes if I say that Vanderbilt surprises the country and gets to 8 wins. But I will say that they will be more competitive because of who is the new quarterback. I will say they will be more adaptable to keeping things interesting in the first half of games because of who is their quarterback. I do believe that their numbers will improve this upcoming fall, despite losing guys like Will Shepard and London Humphreys. I think that they still will be a decent rushing team inside the red zone. And I think that they will give their all, which, again, you don't give out, of course, participation trophies, but you can at least say, I feel better about this team moving forward. Pavia is a good quarterback. Is he good for Conference USA, or is he just a good quarterback? In my personal opinion, it's more so the latter than the former. I think that he could work in any single conference and still put up average numbers. Iowa right now, I think, would be having a field day if they knew that they had Pavia as their starting quarterback. So Vanderbilt, you might as well feel the same. You got a really good dude that has already shown that he can hold his own against SEC teams. And even though your record probably is going to be around 3-9, 4-8, you hit the over by Vegas' standard, and in that point, you're in the party city. You might as well go out and boogie down on Broadway. Pavia, he gets a free shot every single game that he gets to go ahead and win. But let me know in the comment section down below, who is a Vanderbilt's X factor going into 2024? Is it Diego Pavia? Can you name anyone else besides Diego Pavia? Did you even know who Diego Pavia was before this video? Like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. And to keep up with the #1 source for all things SEC, make sure you visit SECUnfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks, later.